very low proportion of the vote. He got in by default because people were unhappy with the Conservatives. They voted Labour. They didn't particularly like him.
How about this for a number? Just 17% of the public think that this Labour government are doing a good job. And I'll be honest, I'd love to have a glass of whatever that 17%.
People across Britain see how bad things are. They can see that we don't have control of the boats. They can see that the borders in Britain are porous.
What started as a routine political discussion on live television took a turn when former Prime Minister Liz Truss made a statement that left viewers and commentators stunned. What appeared to be an ordinary commentary on current politics turned into a whirlwind of controversy, conspiracy and speculation as Truss dropped a bombshell about Keir Starmer that no one saw coming.
I want to get your take on the change of government, because the Starmer government already seems to have hit a few problems. Those cuts to the winter heating payments, plenty of tension on the streets, and now the PM even under fire for accepting free suits from a Labor Party donor. Voters...
Hey, quick favour before we move on. If you find this political content interesting, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Most of you watch without subscribing and it's totally free, but it helps us out so much. Have you done it yet? Thanks a ton for the support. Now, let's get back to the video.
Now it's gone from bad to worse. He's been caught accepting donations to pay for his wife's dresses. He's been accepting more freebies than any other MP in Parliament, but meanwhile, because of their disastrous economic policies, they are cutting payments to old people.
In the midst of a conversation about Labour's tax policies, Truss casually alluded to an alleged secret affair involving Keir Starmer. This wasn't just political mudslinging, it was captured the attention of the nation. Was this a desperate attempt to regain political relevance, or did Truss genuinely uncover something explosive?
It's quite extraordinary, isn't it, that there doesn't seem to be the ability in the Labour Party to find a female leader, or indeed a leader who doesn't come from North London. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the issue is.
Truss, known for her unfiltered and often bold remarks, made it clear that she believed the public had the right to see the truth. Her cryptic comments sparked a frenzy of media speculation and social media chatter. The political landscape was shaken as everyone scrambled to understand what this could mean for Starmer's leadership.
Energy prices are going up here in the UK, so it's a disastrous start for his government because they came in with no ideas about what they were going to do, apart from saying the Conservatives are evil. That was their only policy.
Labour's response was swift but cautious. Party representatives called the remarks baseless and accused Truss of engaging in cheap theatrics to distract from the Conservative Party's ongoing struggles. However, the damage had been done.
Prime Minister's personal poll ratings have fallen to, wait for it, -30. That makes Prince Andrew look like a national hero.
The timing couldn't have been worse for Labour, which is already facing backlash for its aggressive tax policies. With the economy teetering on the edge of what experts are calling an economic doom loop, Starmer's leadership is under intense scrutiny. Critics argue that his policies are stifling growth and alienating both businesses and voters.
The Prime Minister knows she's no choice but to back an energy price freeze. But it won't be cheap, and the real choice, the political choice, is who is going to pay. Is she really telling us that she's going to leave these vast excess profits on the table and make working people foot the bill for decades to come?
Well, I understand that people across our country are struggling with the cost of living, and they're struggling with their energy bills.
The allegations come at a time when tensions between Labour and the Conservatives are at an all-time high. Truss's short tenure as Prime Minister might have been marred by controversy, but her focus on growth and tax cuts left a lasting impression. Now, she appears to be using her platform to challenge Starmer in a way no one anticipated.
Economic self-harm. It's unilateral economic disarmament. While India and China are building more coal-fired power stations, getting more oil and gas, we in Britain have ended up closing down our oil and gas. This is what's happening under this Labour government. We've just closed our last steel works, producing virgin steel because energy is unaffordable. The British government is refusing to do fracking.
Her accusations were accompanied by sharp criticism of Labour's handling of the economy. From rising taxes to increased regulation, Truss argued that Starmer's approach is driving businesses and individuals out of the UK. In one particularly scathing remark, she compared Labour's policies to running a car without oil, a short-term fix that inevitably leads to breakdown.
Energy is unaffordable. The British government is refusing to do fracking, which could make our energy cheaper. And it's a disaster. Our economy is stagnating. Meanwhile, China is selling us solar panels. I mean, why does that make sense? And the problem is we have a Labour Party now in government who are saying that climate change is more of a threat to the future of the world than China.
Social media platforms are lit up with speculation and debate. Hashtags like Truss bombshell and Starmer scandal began trending within minutes. Truss supporters hailed her as a truth-teller, while Labour loyalists dismissed the allegations as a desperate attempt to shift the narrative.
Right. Notwithstanding Sir Keir's terrible policies, taxing us to oblivion, clobbering pensioners and betting the House on flaky renewables, I've been warning about Sir Keir Starmer's
Meanwhile, conspiracy theories began to emerge, with some suggesting that Truss had access to confidential information from her time in office. Others speculated that this was all part of a larger strategy to undermine Starmer's leadership and rally Conservative voters.
His support for the truly dangerous Jeremy Corbyn, his efforts to reverse Brexit, his taking of the knee to the woke mob during BLM, his inability to define what a woman is, and, in the absence of compelling data, calling for more of those ruinous COVID lockdowns in order to look prime ministerial.
Amid the chaos, the conversation around the economy remains front and centre. Labour's proposed tax hikes have drawn criticism from economists, business leaders, and even members of the public. According to a report by the Growth Commission, these measures could slash GDP per capita by nearly 9% by 2030.
Downs, which in his new book, Unleashed, Boris Johnson today admits didn't work. It's my view that our new Prime Minister is a narcissistic, greedy, thin-skinned, dishonest man posing as somebody honourable. A man who said that he was going to clean up politics, but wound up cleaning up on freebies.
Rachel Reeves, Labour's shadow chancellor, has defended the party's plans, arguing that they are necessary to address a £40 billion gap in public finances. However, critics warn that these policies could stifle economic growth and lead to job losses.
But I wonder if he's quite sinister too. Let me play you some excerpts of Sky News' brilliant Beth Rigby on the Electoral Dysfunction podcast. Rigby was clearly quite affected by her recent encounter with the Prime Minister.
For Liz Truss, this bombshell revelation appears to be part of a larger strategy to re-establish her political influence. Since leaving office, she has been vocal about her vision for economic growth and her opposition to Labour's policies. By targeting Starmer directly, she is positioning herself as a defender of free speech, low taxes and individual liberty.
Just like the courage to give directions to bureaucrats.
Well, I think the problem in Britain has got much worse, and it got worse during the Blair government because he put in lots of legislation like the Human Rights Act, like the Equality Act, that ended up tying politicians' hands. And we weren't brave enough to take on those ideas when we were in government. So we were boxed in by the Blairite consensus, and that's made it...
Her remarks about Starmer were not limited to the alleged affair. She also criticised his approach to free speech, accusing him of supporting policies that would stifle open dialogue and debate. This aligns with Truss's broader critique of what she calls the woke agenda in British politics.
Put up bisexual pride flags outside the Foreign Office. He gave a great big speech on climate change. Now, given Ukraine, given China, given all the other issues that are on his plate, and the growing cultural divisions in the British community, we saw that play out in riots, surely his focus should be elsewhere.
He's massively out of...
This controversy comes at a pivotal moment for British politics. With a general election looming, both Labour and the Conservatives are vying for public trust. Truss's comments have added a new layer of complexity to an already tense political environment.
He is governing in the interests of that group of people. It's the lawyers in London. It's the people working in the big corporates. It's the civil servants and the bureaucrats. And most people in Britain do not agree with these policies. And this is why this government is already very unpopular. You know, Keir Starmer's ratings are...
The debate over free speech, economic policy and personal integrity is likely to dominate the headlines in the coming weeks. Whether or not Truss's allegations hold any truth, they have succeeded in putting Starmer on the defensive.
I'm sure that Liz Truss's personal brand played a part here, but this is part of Labour's wider success story, flipping tribal Tory votes, knitting together that unlikely coalition. And that is why what people think in places like this matters.
Morning, it's Breakfast with Si. This is Radio
Simon's
West
been
Norfolk.
broadcasting on Radio West Norfolk for 2 decades. If anyone knows what people here care about, it's him. Do you think there were reasons kind of beyond Liz Truss why people turned to Labour?
I think so. People are a little bit disheartened, aren't they? So many promises that don't happen, and all of the scandals, which unfortunately maybe seem to be starting again.
Liz Truss may have had the shortest tenure as Prime Minister in British history, but her influence lingers. Known for her bold economic policies and direct approach, Truss's time in office was a whirlwind of controversy and ambition. Her advocacy for tax cuts, deregulation and pro-growth measures often put her at odds with the establishment. But her determination to reshape the UK economy left a lasting impression. Truss's recent revelation about Keir Starmer underscores her continued relevance in British politics, showing she still has the power to command attention and shift the narrative.
Plummeted because they're seen as hypocrites, but they're also seen as representing a very narrow group of people who live in the big cities, who work for the public sector. They don't represent normal people across Britain who back Israel, who see China as a threat and want a strong foreign policy from Britain.
Keir Starmer rose to the leadership of the Labour Party with promises of unity, integrity and a vision for a better Britain. However, his tenure has not been without challenges. Critics accuse him of being out of touch with working-class voters and overly reliant on policies that stifle growth. This latest scandal only adds to the mounting pressure on Starmer, raising questions about his judgment, character and ability to lead the nation.
There's another story here too. Reform came a close third. Now they're targeting not just Conservatives, but Labour votes too.
I think he's good. He's got so many good policies.
Nigel Farage?
Yeah.
Because they got a lot of votes here. Why do you think that is?
Well,
there's not much to choose from with the other two parties.
they sort of say one thing and then...
Will this controversy fade away, or will it mark a turning point in Starmer's political career? One thing is certain, the stakes have never been higher. If you enjoyed this breakdown, leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Watch more videos here for the latest insights and updates.